This time I did actually count how many books I have for this video, and it's almost double what part 1 was. Hello everyone, welcome back to A Fictional Escapist, and welcome to Shelves of Shame Part 2, where I go through all of the physical books that you can actually see on my shelves in these videos that are book ones in series I want to read in my lifetime. Now, I still didn't go back and count how many book ones I had in the last video but it was around the 50 mark. The amount of books that I have to show you today, number 85 plus 2 honorable mentions. So, if you want to go ahead and check out the description box down below for links to my social media and Discord, if you want to come along for the ride, go ahead and do that. But we are going to have to jump right in. So, as a caveat, I do also read historical fiction, so there's like a little historical fiction pile here, which may not interest people who are here for mainly SFS stuff. And there's a few of these that do only have book ones out. I've tried to keep books that only have one book currently out of this list, but if I do know that there is a sequel coming this year or it's been announced to come out shortly, I will include it in this list. So there's so many books. I'm so overwhelmed. Remember how I said that this whole shelf will be taken down? Yeah, they're just book twos or standalones. Anyway, let's go with the honorable mentions to kick us off. So the honorable mentions are here because I have actually read these two books, but it's been a very, very long time, and I'm interested in the series, but I will have to go back and reread. I don't reread all that often, but it's been so long that these I'm going to have to. That is going to be Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb, book one in the Farseer trilogy, but also book one in the Realm of the Elderlings, and also Game of Thrones. So this is the first book of the Song of Ice and Fire. I do want to read them at some point. I don't really care about Winds of Winter coming out or not coming out. I'd like to read what's currently available in A Song of Ice and Fire, but I will have to read the first book again. So, those are the two honorable mentions straight off the bat. Now, these are in no particular order. I've got multiples from other authors, but this video is already going to be pretty long, so we're just gonna rapid fire like we did last time. So some of them that you'll see up on the top of the shelves here, I have the first book of the Winnowing Flame trilogy, The Ninth Reign by Jen Williams, and also The Black Coast by Mike Brooks. So this is Winnowing Flame, and I think this is the God King Chronicles. Yep, that's what it says on the side there. Book ones of series I would really like to get to. I'm not actually going to say that every time because that's the whole premise of this book. The next one is The Lost War by Justin Lee Anderson, the Edian Saga. I may pronounce that incorrectly. Book number one, I have book one and book two. I've talked about this one recently, so this is the Rook and Rose series by M.A. Carrick, starting with The Mask of Mirrors. I'd love to get to that one this year. Next one is potentially a 2025 start, but definitely not finish. This is The Curse of the Mist Wraith by Janie Wirtz, book one of the Wars of Light and Shadow. I try to fact check that is book one. I'm pretty sure it's book one, but we're going to go with that. I have the first 7. Anyway, another one I've talked about, not recently, but on the channel as series I'd like to get to is Lynn Llewellyn's The Night Runner series, starting with Luck in the Shadows, which is book one. I have book 1 to 3. I have The Charm Sphere by Catherine, what's her name? Catherine Asaro. This is, I'm not sure what the series is called actually, but I know there's 6 books in it. Well, I believe there's 6 books in it, and I went and picked up the first 3 quite recently, so I have those. 2 from Brando Sando, we've got The Alloy of Law, which is the first book in Mistborn Era 2, and also The Way of Kings, which is the first book in the Stormlight Archive. I do have Brandon Sanderson on my TBR. I'll probably finish the sci-fi series or get up to date with the sci-fi series first. Then I'll read Warbreaker and continue on with the Cosmere, and then I'll probably be up to Stormlight Archive. But we'll see how we go there. Moving on to the next piles, we have Blackwing by Ed McDonald. This is an author that I haven't checked out yet, but I'm very keen to at some point. I've only got book 1 of this one. I think I've got Daughter of Redwinter, which is the next series or the next set of books that they are writing. I've got the first book on Kindle, but physically, that's what I have. I have Daniel Abraham, The Dragon's Path. This is book 1 of the Dagger and Coin series. Probably where I'll start with this particular author, or go on to The Expanse, potentially. That's coming up later. Spoiler alert. We have The Wolf of Oren Yarrow. This is by K.S. Veloso, I probably pronounced that incorrectly, but the series of this book was changed, I believe. I have one that says The Chronicles of the Bitch Queen, and I love that. So, very happy to have that on the shelves. We have Grace of Kings, first book in the Dandelion Dynasty. I've recently picked up book two. I have no idea when I'm getting to that. The Kingdom of Lies by Nick Martell, another series that I'd really like to get to. I have no idea when. I believe this is a trilogy, and I have the first book. Adrian Tchaikovsky, we have Empire in Black and Gold. Very curious about this one because it's one of Dominish Books' favorite series, and I don't know where this author's going to land for me. We'll see. I bought book one just to get a bit of a test before we go ahead and commit to the whole series of 10 books. Legacy of Ash by Matthew Ward. Again, another series that I'm very, very interested in. I almost bought all three of these at once because I love the covers. I haven't. We'll start with book one. So when I told myself that I would stop buying entire series, I just went nuts on book ones apparently. So this is book one of the Legacy trilogy by Matthew Ward. We also have Michael J. Sullivan's The Rhaeria Revelations that we have here with Theft of Swords, and I believe this is book one and book two in the book that I have here, little omnibus edition. So my local bookstore has all of these, which is great. I will start with those. Master of Sorrows by Justin Call. The next book in the series is massive, so I would like to try book one before we try book two. We've got Marcus Heights. I don't know how I feel about the Dwarf series, but I saw this one and I picked it up because I'm interested in the author. I don't know what this series is called, The Legends of the Alfar. Probably pronounced that incorrectly, but interested in giving this author a go. We have The Tiger's Daughter by K. Arsenault Rivera. I've heard not fantastic things about this one. I'm not sure if it's because it's in the second person, but this cover is stunning, and I'd like to give it a go. I kept gravitating towards it in the bookstore, so I picked it up. We'll see. This one is The Dinosaur Lords by Victor Milan, and fantasy book with dinosaurs. I don't have anything else to give you. The last book is called Dinosaur Princess, so what's a guy to do? We have Peter McLean's Priest of Bones, another series that is very, very high on my radar. And by high on my radar, I mean I'll probably read it before 2030. We'll see. I have C.L. Clarke's The Unbroken. I haven't got the second book in this one, but a series that I'm very much looking forward to getting into. I think it's going to work for me from what I've heard from other people, but we'll see. I have no idea when I'm getting to any of these. One I hauled recently is Strange Practice by Vivian Shaw. This is a Dr. Greta Helsing novel. We have A Natural History of Dragons by Marie Brennan. I've also talked about that one recently. We have We Ride the Storm by Devin Madsen, which is currently not on my 2024-2025 reading plans. I could be swayed. It's a book that I gravitate towards a lot. I love the covers, the pops of color in each of the four books. I only have the first one. My library has, I think, three, and I know my local bookstore has all of them, so I could be swayed to go down that route. We then have The Surviving Sky. This is by Kritika H. Rao, and I believe the second book in this series is about to come out. This was a total cover. And philosophical fantasy, I believe, which also was a good selling point for me. A series which I've walked past a lot and just like always picked it up, always read the blurb, but never actually bought it, is the Rooks and Ruin series by Melissa Caruso. And I finally bought the Obsidian Tower last year, so I have no idea when I'll try that one, but I will give it a go. We have We Are the Dead by Mike Shackle, which has been sitting on my shelves for a very, very long time. We have A Plague of Giants by Kevin Hearn. Again, another author that really, really intrigues me. Also, I love this cover. I love the colors in it. Now, this one I believe is a standalone. I put it on here because I don't know if the next book is a book two or if it's just another book in a similar vein. So this one may not count. I'm not sure. But this is Kai Kai by Vishnavi Patel. I hope I pronounced that correctly. I'm so sorry if I didn't. So yeah, I'm not sure if that one technically counts, but we'll see. I have Shadow of the Gods, or The Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne. I read Faithful and the Fallen last year. I enjoyed it. I didn't love it like a lot of people did, but it takes a lot for me to like really love a book. I tend to like a lot of what I read, but not like be madly in love with it. I don't think I'm going to read this next for Gwyn. I think I'm going to read the continuation series. That is, I don't know where it's set. somewhere in that world. I'll probably read that next before I move into this one. I have The Son of the Storm by C. Davies Okunbowa. Again, I'm so sorry about the pronunciation. I love this cover. The second book has either just come out or is coming out later this year, so that one goes on the list. The next one we have is The Moontide Quartet by David Hare, starting with Major's Blood. It says, if you like Game of Thrones, you want to read this. I remember liking the first book, but I don't remember much else about it. But I do have book one of that series. Then we have Foundryside by Robert Jackson Bennett. This is the Founders Trilogy, book one. I think this is really going to vibe with me. I don't know when I'm going to get to it, but at some point I own book one, so I can go ahead and do that. One that is definitely on the cards for 2025 is An Empire of Dust, which is The Court of Broken Knives by Anna Smith Spark as book one. I've bought book two and book three in the series, so this will definitely be happening in 2025. And the last one for this list is Godblind by Anna Stevens. I think this one came when I was still watching Mike's book reviews, and I was just buying everything that he bought or talked about. So I think this also will work for me, but I don't know. So I have just bought the book one for this one. All right, I'm going to pack these up, and then we're going to do some historical fiction. All right, let's jump into some historical fiction, starting us off with Amanda Scott's Boudica. I heard about this one from the Gwyn brothers, or the Brothers Gwyn, their channel. I really want to get to this one at some point. I think it's really going to work for me. I tend to throw in historical fiction when I'm feeling the need for a change-up, so that one is there. I'm ready to go. I have the Chivalry series by Christian Cameron. I've got books 1, 2, 3, but the first one is The Ill-Made Knight. So I've said it before, historical fiction, I remember very little of history. I didn't take the class, the information goes in one ear, out the other. So basically reading historical fiction is just like reading fiction to me, because it's just all new information all the time. The next two are Arthurian legends, so I have Bernard Cornwell's The Winter Knight. So I've got book one of that trilogy, and I also have Giles Christian's Lancelot. So book ones, I will give them a go. The Arthurian legends, I feel like it's been done a lot, but I hear those two are very good. Another one I hear is very good is Kenneth Folliott, The Pillars of the Earth. I have book 1 and 2 of this King's Bridge series, and I also have the trilogy of Cicero by Robert Harris, which I was going to read with Theo over at Kindle Reader like 2 years ago. We just didn't do it. I don't know if he did it, but I didn't. So I have that whole trilogy here. Some sci-fi, which normally hangs out in the top shelf, you don't see very often. I have talked about this recently. We've got Christopher Rocchio's Empire of Silence. We've got Isaac Asimov's Foundation. I will likely read all the Foundation books, but I just need to get my head around the first one first. We have Peter F. Hamilton, Pandora's Star. I've talked about this recently. We've got James S.A. Corey, Leviathan Wakes. Now, I don't know how I'm going to feel about this series. I know my mate Ryan bloody loves it, so we'll give it a go. We'll give it a go at some point. We've got Wool by Hugh Howey. I'm hearing lots of good things about Silo, and that it's a fairly true to form adaptation. I don't know when I'm going to read this, but I have it for when I do. I'm going to blame this one on Books with Brittany back when she was on the booktube scene for Paradise 1. I believe Paradise 2 has just come out. Dark, horror, sci-fi, here for it. Love all those things. Basically all buzzwords. We've got Stormblood by Jeremy Salz. Hope I pronounced that correctly. Book 2, again, has come out fairly recently. Local author, sometimes signs these books in the stores. I didn't get a signed copy, unfortunately, but I know that he does come around to the local bookstores and does some signings. We have Velocity Weapon by Megan O'Keefe. Now, I have heard that Megan O'Keefe's newer series is very, very good and maybe better from a critical standpoint than this series, but I don't know. Maybe it's just like the complex scientific drawing on the front, but I'm kind of digging it, and I think I will still start with this series regardless. We've got my entry point into Warhammer 40k, which I'm very nervous about starting, but I do have a bind-up of some of the books here. So I believe this is 3 books and a novella. So this is the Gaunt's Ghost Omnibus. The first one, there's about 1 billion starting points. I'll probably start here because I have the first 2 omnibus editions or collections there. And what I've talked about a bit recently is the Southern Reach trilogy. So I will be starting this pretty soon. So out of everything on the 2 videos that you've seen, this will be starting first. So I do have this one as well. If you thought I was better at reading indie books that I buy rather than trad books that I buy, then you would be wrong. So I do have a fair few indies as well that are in the last three piles that we have here today. But I think we are still going with some trad pub first. Yep. Okay, the second book of this particular series, I don't know if it's out, but it is coming out this year. This is Flames of Mirror by Clay Harmon. I've heard really good things about this one. Hardback was a steal, so I went ahead and picked it up. This one I hear is very hard to get into, and I think that's why I want to read it. This is Black Leopard Red Wolf by Marlon James, and it's just beautiful. Just some very, very gorgeous artwork on there, and it's hefty. That is one of the heaviest books I own. Now, not where I'll start personally with this particular author, but I do have The Blooded Faith by David Dalglish. Dalglish? Yeah. We're going with that. And Justice of Kings by Richard Swan. The Final Strife by Sarah El Arifi. Now, I probably will read this one in 2025 because I have book 2 and 3 pre-ordered this year, which means I don't count in the book buying ban. Or book buying, low buy, whatever. Whatever I've committed myself to doing, they don't count. This one has a second book coming in late August or September, I want to say, and this is the first binding by R.R. Verdi. I love this cover, and I've heard that it's basically just The Name of the Wind in a different setting. And I love The Name of the Wind. So I'll be picking that one up at some point. I've got R.S. Ford's Engines of Empire. Again, I don't like this size of the book. It is floppy though. But I don't know when I'll read this. I have no idea. But book 2 came out this year. 2025 read is The Bone Shard Daughter by Andrea Stewart. So at least I have plans on reading some of these at some point. Right. Also, in a similar vein, we have A Drowned Kingdom by P.L. Stewart. We have Shadows of Ivory by Bryce O'Connor and T.L. Greycloak. Greycloak? Yes, I got that correct. I love this cover. I love the cover to the second book. These are very expensive to get here in Australia. I think T.L. Greycloak is Australian. Anyway, a story for another time. But I do want to read this one before I commit to spending that much money on getting the second one here. One I talked about recently is the Dreadbound Ode by Jordan Loyal Short, having bought all three of those, so I'll pick that up at some point. Jonathan Weiss, Molten Flux. Hearing really good things about the writing in that one. We have Paternus by Dirk Ashton. In the Shadow of Ruin by Tony DiBaggio. I'm sorry. I hope I pronounced that somewhat correctly. I believe this is a duology, so I have this one in here, but again, I'm not sure if it's a standalone. I think it has a second book. This is Wee Men of Ash and Shadow by H.L. Tinsley. We have Beckoning of the Gate by Benjamin J. Ryan. Heard some good things about that one last year. We have Prince of the Fallen by M.H. Woodscourt, an author I really need to read more of. And we have Bengali, A Chasing Graves, or just Chasing Graves. To finish off this pile, we have a book that's been on my TBR for, 3 or 4 months this year, and I still haven't read it. I'm so sorry to the author, and that is Anonymity by Alexandra Almeida, and this now has a beautiful new cover. We have The Wickwire Watch by Jacqueline Hagan, which book 4 has just come out, so I need to start the series. Also, I'm pretty sure Esme sent this to me for my birthday in 2023, and it is now 2024, and almost my birthday again, so maybe... Oh, it does have a note. It does have a note from Esme, because I use them as bookmarks, which is... Anyway, that made me smile. I will read this one in September. Let's put it on the September TBR right now, as I live and breathe, to read one of the books that you got me last year. A Low Country by Morgan Shank. I've read The Die Young, which was fantastic. I'd like to dive into this Western series. I also have Master Assassins by Robert B.S. Reddick. Cover by. I can't deny that. Look at that. That's amazing. Second book's already out. I really need to read. Do I even read looking at these books? I don't know. We have Oath of Bones by Ryan G. Beatty, and also Daughter of the Beast by E.C. Greaves. These were both series that I wanted to start this year, which is why I've gone ahead and bought book 1s. You think I've started them? No. It's been a mood reading year. Still very high on my radar. I just don't know when. There are so many books and so little time. We have The Skin by J.E. Hannaford. This is the Black Hind's Wake duology, book number 1. Now, this one is getting a second book this year, but it's not currently out, so we're going to count it. It's Sons of Darkness by Gaurav Mahamti, the beautiful broken binding edition. This one is calling to me at the moment, so don't be shocked if a mood read of that one happens at some point. We have The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. Again, just these beautiful spread-edged editions from the broken binding. Fantastic, second to none. Now, I didn't know this was a series until I got asked if I wanted to buy the second book, because I bought the first book. So I, of course, said, take my money. To the broken binding, I have China Mieville's Peridot Street Station. I hear this is a bit nuts. I have no idea if I'm going to read this edition. It's so pretty. I don't want to ruin it. I also just need to get over my phobia of reading the editions that I buy. Another one that has a second book coming out this year is Gods of the Weirwood by R.J. Barker. What is this series? The Forsaken Trilogy by R.J. Barker. If I read this, I'll be up to date with R.J. Barker's work. He's one of my auto-buy authors, and it's Criminal. I have not read that yet. We got two more, my friends. This is pretty high up on my list as well. The author was kind enough to send me 3 of these books, so I need to read it. I need to thank the people who send me books. This is Michael Miller's Ascendant, Book 1 of the Songs of Chaos. And aren't they gorgeous? I am a sucker for the covers being printed. This is the naked hardback. Chef kiss. Amazing. And the last one that I have here is Octavia E. Butler's Parable of the Sower, which is just, again, gorgeous. A gorgeous, gorgeous edition. And I don't want to ruin it with my grubby hands. But I just need to buy the books. Buy the books. We're on a low buy year. I've already spent too much money on books. Anyway, read the books that I buy. That is the purpose of the items. Just read them. Anyway, that was many books that I have on my shelves that you can see. I legitimately thought I had more that you couldn't see than the ones that you could see. Should I do a video where I go through all the books I've actually read on my shelves? Because I think it would be like 20% of the books, which is horrific. And we're not even going to talk about my Kindle. Let's just not go there. If you like the content, give one of those. If you want to see more of it, click subscribe at your will, and I will catch you in the next video. Ciao.